Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm the Tipsy Artist. Today we are painting an adorable painting of a scarecrow called Happy Fall. And this is my large version that I use in my big classes that I do when I go and travel, and we fill event centers with hundreds of ladies that paint with me. So he's a real cutie. And this gives you an idea of what it looks like big. And you're always welcome to come and paint with me live and in person. But I also have the opportunity for y'all to paint with me online with our painting kits. So we're going to switch cameras here in just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side. We're going to have a nice close-up view. But before I do that, let's go ahead and talk about our traceable line art. So this is your sweet little size here. This is a 9x12 that comes in the painting kit. And we have the line art and the transfer paper, all the supplies that you need. So we're going to talk about how to set this up first. So I've got the canvas panel, the transfer paper. I place dull gray side faces up, shiny black side faces the canvas, and then the line art on top. I do a little bit of paint up here on each side. I actually completely cover the canvas with the paper and just do a couple of pieces of tape here and here. And then I'll just center the line art, right in the middle. But on this particular one, it's definitely centered, but at the bottom, I try to place it just close to the bottom edge too, because we want more room to be up here at the top. So just kind of line it up here at the bottom and then tape right here in the center. Then you're going to take your pencil, and every single place that you see a line, you're just going to press into it, just draw right over the top. So I leave the sides untaped so that you can constantly lift up and check your work to make sure that you've got all your line work done, because it is almost nearly impossible to line it back up again once you're done. So you definitely want to check, double check to make sure that you get every single line done, because once you lift off and remove this from the panel and untape, you're going to have to go ahead and maybe just probably freehand any other details you may have missed. So be careful with that, check a lot, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place this down on my table here. And then we're going to switch camera views. By the way, this is my studio, so I do a lot of painting here. And I've got my sunroom view out here too. So I wish I could turn the whole computer. Maybe we'll work on that. Maybe get wheels. I've got wheels on everything, but put wheels on that computer so you could turn around and see what I'm seeing. It's really lovely. So, but now we're going to go ahead and switch over to the art so we can start to learn how to paint. All right, here we go. I gotta get scooted in. Whoops. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and look at all of our supplies here. Your paint kit comes with an apron, which I never wear because I'm always covered in paint anyway. And of course your tools here, and you will have a lovely new paint kit here with all these acrylic paints. And then I've got some paint already squirted out to help us get ready, but you'll have a little plate, and I've got some titanium white and Mars black out to start with. And then I've got my Sharpie, my pencil, my little family of brushes here. I've got Mama, and then I have Little Buddy, and then Little Bit, and your napkins. All right, so let's go ahead. I've worked ahead. I did all of the tracing here with my pencil. And then we're going to go ahead and lift off. I'm going to untape. I'm going to throw this in the trash. Now, I've got a permanent marker here that I sometimes use sometimes I'll line out the entire design. On this one, I want it to be a little bit softer in style. So the places where I did line out were things that I definitely wanted to bleed through, so I did not lose them during the painting process. And that is the lettering and the face, because we'll do a wash of paint over that. And then this in here is shadowed and darker anyway. So we'll leave that hard lined. And then the rest of it, I wanted to be kind of soft. So I left everything else as just that graphite line that transfers over with your graphite paper. Okay, so now we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and move those up here. Got my bucket of water nearby. Basically, the bucket of water is about the only thing you have to go and get. All of your other supplies are included. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this background color here to start with. And we're going to do a little bit of this primary cyan blue. Now, your paint kit will be brand new, and so you'll have a silver lining that you're going to have to lift off of here. So you want to do that so the paint can flow out of this container. And then I'm going to go ahead and place a little dollop of paint there. And I already have some titanium white, which looks like this. And then, of course, we've got some Mars black that's already out. So to start with, I've got Mama. I'm going to go and place her in the water just a little bit and then dry her off. She's just moist, flexible, ready to use. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up a nice big dollop of the white. And then we're going to add a little tiny touch of that primary cyan blue in there. We're going to mix that up. So I'll have a really pretty light blue. And I'm going to go ahead and start to paint this on with little vertical strokes and then horizontal. And then I'm going to mix back and forth with a little bit of white. Kind of alternate between the two, the white and the light blue. And then I'm going to mix up a little bit of gray here too. I also have that going on in the background. So some white, little tiny touch of the black. We're going to work that in for a little bit of gray. I'll sweep that on here. And then the white. So we're basically mixing back and forth between the grays, the light blues, the whites, and then our strokes are also alternating with nice vertical strokes and then horizontal strokes. And we're going to also continue to vary those too. Now we're getting close to the lettering here. I want this to be a little bit transparent over the top so that I don't lose the shape of my lettering here. So I'm adding a little bit of water here to the plate. No water here. So I want that to pop to the right. And I'm going to do some cut-in work around the hat. So as I do get close to the hat, I'm going to use the line edge of the brush. So I'll hold the brush like a pencil and cut in and around that shape. And I have a little bit of water. Give it more of a wash look. It's a bit easier to control. So continue to just push back and forth. For vertical strokes, horizontal strokes. Remember to alternate between the white, the gray, and the touches of blue. Just keep it different, alternating. And then my words are translucent. Well, I'm sorry, not my words are translucent. My words are bleeding through. That's what I want. And then this paint, again, I add a little bit of water to it to give it more of a translucent wash there, so I'll be able to see that. Sometimes you may have to add a little bit more water to it just to make it a bit more translucent over the top so that will be able to be seen. So you can come back in and follow that exactly. Now, I'll tell you a little helpful hint here. If for some reason you just cover this to the point of no return and you just can't figure this part out about the translucency to preserve that shape, then not all is lost, because you can come back in with your, this is a time where you can come back and use this, but you can basically cut out this little shape here with your transfer paper and then just kind of maneuver the transfer, like for example, I would separate these two. Because you want to have fresh, unused transfer paper underneath this shape. So I would cut this out, and then I would position this over the top of another part of the transfer paper. And then you could, once this is completely dry, then you could use this again, taped on over the top and retrace over the top. So you can always just use that and do that later on. So that's another little helpful hint. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and continue to work in our little background here. Your light wash around this hat. Switch up my brush strokes now, a little bit of white. White coming down vertical, horizontal, pushing back and forth into that stroke. See, I can be a bit more opaque with the finish of this over here and more layered because I don't have all of that lettering here that I'm trying to contend with. So I can get as close, get pretty close over here with that light. Good. Light little touches. Then we're on Mr. Flower here. This is plenty of water with my light blue and my gray. And then even this little amount of graphite here, it is bleeding through that paint too, which is nice. I'm going to keep that flower in shape. Cutting around the hat. These little lines that jet out, that's basically just the straw here. A little bit of a dusty feathery strip around that sunflower. And now we're working a little bit of that white over the top. Pull in nice little horizontal strokes and work that light touches in vertical stroke. And as you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're holding the brush more over to the side. So hold it like parallel to the canvas. That gives you a nice gentle hand. Pull those lightly over the top for those different textures of paint to just rest well on top. All right, so we've got a really pretty background here. And again, it'll always be a little bit different than every single time that I paint it. So I just have fun with the process and I don't worry about making it look exactly like it used to. I just have fun with it. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse out here. Wow. Okay, so now we need to mix this really pretty light cream. I'm going to go ahead and grab some primary yellow. Cadmium Yellow. And then we need to mix them around, so I'll be using some orange for that. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to make this face, basically it's a nice light wash over the top, and we will mix this up. So first thing I want to do is have a little bit of brown to work with. So I'm going to mix that up. So I'm going to grab a little tiny touch of the black. We're going to put that into our orange. So when I mix orange with black, it makes brown. We're going to have a little bit of white. We're going to mix that in. So you can really see it there. It's kind of like a light brown. So we'll have that. White. Now I'm going to start to grab this bright primary yellow. We're going to mix that in. I'm trying to get to that cream now. And a little bit more white. Let's start to lighten this up. And then I can add a little bit of water to this too, so it's a little more translucent. So I'm going to do a light little wash here over the face. Let's grab a little bit more water. And you can see those little eyes and that cute little nose that's bleeding through, so that's good. We don't lose that precious shape there that we traced. Still have a lot of water in there, so the paint's still wet on the surface. And now what we're going to do is squeeze out the excess there. We're going to take our little bit brush, and we're going to mix up a little bit more of that brown. So we've got black, orange. We're going to mix up that brown. Rinse out. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of that orange, and we're going to mix that with the brown. So I'm going to make it looks like kind of like the breast over here to the side. And a bit of water to that. A little more orange in that last mix. All right, so now I've got a little bit of water in that mix too, and then my little bit brush. And then I'm going to do a little line here around the edge. Go all the way around the space. Right now I'm coming with the little buddy and that cream that we had mixed up for the face. And I'm going to basically overlap right over the top of that while it's still wet. So we'll get a nice soft blend between those two. And sometimes we pick up a little bit too much of that brown. So a nice soft fade between those two. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse out now with my little buddy brush and dry off. My little baby girl's coming in there, but I don't even know if I can hear that anymore. We used to be able to hear everything in the background, and then on Zoom has noise suppression. So I'm talking about how my dog's walking through, and that might think just crazy. So yeah, never know. All right, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and work in the hat. So I'm going to go back in with my mama brush and pull it out of the bath here. She's been lounging and relaxing. By the way, we always want to let our brushes sit in the water until we get a chance to completely rinse out. Acrylic paint does set up and dry pretty quickly. And so we always just wash it quickly or let it sit in the water until you have a chance to wash it out. All right, so we're going to go back to the hat color now. And this is going to be that same cream that we initially mixed up to go with the face. But we're going to go ahead and make it just a little bit darker. We're add a little bit of that brown that we mixed up. Mix that into it. And by the way, you are welcome to make the hat any color that you want. So you want to do a different color, different favorite color, you know about it. So again, dipping back into that face color that we initially mixed up. And working that in over the top here. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Just a little bit of a light wash here over the tops of those little leaves. Then we have the bottom of the hat here. A slight overlap. over that black line. Look at those lighter shades of cream, work that in, just gonna crisscross back and forth. Now that darker brown. Run out of brown, just add a little bit more black to that orange. So I'm gonna go over that hard black line with some of that brown. See, that's a nice way to obscure that line now, since we don't want that showing through. I deal with that with the paint. I want this to be a little bit lighter, so I'm gonna go ahead and rinse out, go back to that cream. Put this into the hat. And coming back in with one of the lighter creams and the white, just kind of crisscrossing back and forth over the top of the hat. A little bit of texture. A little bit of white here too. A little bit of white, we're going to add that in. And work that back and forth. A little bit of white here. Okay, and now all of this is going to get quite a bit darker. So I'm going to rinse out here. And we're going to add a little bit more of this brown. So we're going to add brown to, I'm sorry, black to the orange to create that brown. And then I'm going to go ahead and work in this shadow here. So this hat is going to get this shadow here. We'll come back in and finish out that hair. A little bit more orange. Brown. And go ahead and work that into that orange here. So this is the shadow underneath the straw hair and the hat. So go ahead and just work in this dark brown. So nice shadow there to begin with. And then I'm going to go ahead and start to work in this lovely little bandana. So let's go ahead and grab some Cadmium Red. And let's go down with that. And we have a little bit of white with that too. So I have a little bit of that white mixed in with the cadmium red, and we'll go back and forth in the darker sections of that. We can also dip into some of that brown, that orange too. So I've got the darker brown in here, mixed with the red. Shadow there, underneath. Push them back and forth, mixing those two again. Remember that brown with the red. And just pushing back little strokes of that red in here. And we can do a little bit of orange in there too. Work that in, a little bit of brown. We'll crisscrosses back and forth. So this one of coverage over the top. Our first kind of coat there. I'm gonna do a little bitty side sweep, just kind of back and forth. Rinse out. And then let's take a little bit and a little more of that brown. And back to brown. Sweep of that here. Sweep of that here. The echoing underneath the chin there. And we'll just kind of twirl out the end of the brush. Little twirls in our scarf. So you can have twirl and drag it across. These little wrinkles here on the scarf. So light little drags across. And slightly kind of twirl between your fingertips there. And we'll have that set up and dry for a little bit. Then we've got some light gray that we can work on to the shirt. So let's see, maybe slip that in here. I'll put that against the dark of the white, a little touch of the black. Some light gray going in. Put this into the shirt. Okay. Now work back and forth, a little bit of white in there too. So mix between the white and the gray. Drawing that across. And then I want this line to be a hard shadow, so I'm gonna take a little bit and just do some of that black right over the top. This is that little pocket. Lay into that section. Really close to it, but leave that line in place. And as you get really close to that black, you get a nice soft blend into it. About top part of the pocket. Little short strokes. Good. So rinse out. We're going to come back in with another brush. A lot more of this white. Bright primary yellow. A lot more white. Really, really light over there, soft and buttery. And then we've got a little bit of water with that. A little over the top here. You want to make sure it's breathing through. Right hand over the top. A little bit more of this. Darker khaki here, and touching that brown, that brown with orange. Red. It's quite a green, so soft fade between the two. Back and forth under the firm pressure over that line between the soft green and the darker color. So that gives a little more of that gradual fade between those two. Touched over our browns, maybe touch that brown. All right, so green and sound. And then this is set up a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and get into this little light color we mix up here to replace. I'm going to grab a little bit of that cadmium yellow with them. And we're just going to do like light drags across. Which is about with that cadmium yellow. I got a little dollop on the end, so I'm going to push down a little highlight of that and pull it across. On the color. Blow with the brush, pull it across. Now let's work on some sunflowers. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our primary yellow here. Get a nice little dot over there. And I'm gonna make sure I just got some fun colors to play with while I dip in to some other shades. So let's grab a little bit of this primary magenta that might be fun to play with here. All right, little bit brush. We still have a little bit of cadmium yellow. We're gonna mix those two together. And add a little bit of white to this too to really brighten it up. This one. Sunflower peeking through. I'm gonna start with this first because our little roses will end up kind of overlapping over the top. So little layers of petals in the bottom. Again, our primary yellow, a little touch of our, that's some cadmium. Let's get that. Let's keep that in the mix. Some of these little petals. Do a little twirl with the brush. Push into that little point and kind of twirl and pull down to the center. So this is the little bit brush. Looking over here. Loading up every time to push into that little point, pull down to the center. Let's do that little twirl. This is cadmium yellow and primary yellow. You can't press that paint, it's gonna run south. And then we're gonna work into that brown, which is our orange and grass. Let's be adding a little bit of water in that mix. And we'll go ahead and do another hole here. And out to the side, it's in a little bit of white in there too. A bit of white. Just put holes here. And that white comes through there. Dark shadow. Right now we can also look over the black right into the center here of the sunflower and circle. And then same thing here, a little black circle here. Okay. I'll get set up a little bit. We're going to work on some roses. So I'm going to take my little buddy brush and some of this white, and we're going to mix it with the primary magenta. So let's do a little bit dollop of the white and lighten it up. And do a little circular push here, side to side. And then some half circles. Same thing here, this other side, about big healthy circles now. And then here. heading into those little sunflower petals there. Scrape off the excess in. I'm going to take my little bit brush, and we're going to now come in with this pure white, and we're going to do just some soft sweeps. Little half circles over the top. So little half circles. Put that in a circular motion around the middle of the rose. Pulling around. All right, now let's rinse out. Now we're going to come in with that darkest primary magenta. And we're just going to do it. Looks like a little on that. Then you can also just kind of enter the same little half circles, but with the darker shadow of the primary magenta. Still have this primary magenta on my brush. I'm going to go ahead and come back in with some of this red and then a little bit of that blue. And then we're going to work in the middle of this sunflower. So half circle there. Half circle there. And then pick up a little more of that red, and we're just going to do little tiny touches for the little flower that comes out to the side. Same thing here, just like little tiny touches with the brush. Just load it up on the tip, and it just barely touches down. It'll go off to the other direction, a little diagonal. Put back into a little bit more of that primary yellow and cadmium yellow over here. I'm just going to rework little tips of these sunflowers. For that light hand is going to barely bring that on over the top of that rose. We want that flower just coming out in top. So we're going to give a little bit of a thicker layer to that paint and just let it rest right on top. Barely touch down. Touch a petal right over the top. This orange. And touching that, we'll do a little touch around the middle here. Touch that over. And then touches. Back into that green, a little bit of that red, and then work that into that center again. And then let's grab some Viridian. Really pretty part over there. You'll touch your green too.
Little bit brush, put it out. Start with that Viridian first. Spread a little bit of that carminous on the bird too. Let's mix those together. Swirl into that feather. Touch down those little tiny leaves so it feels like you make a little tiny parentheses. And then here are the tops of flowers. Don't touch that down. A little bit of white to lighten that up a little bit. Highlight. A little bit of green. With that. Now let's do a little leaf. A little bit of white to that. Parentheses. That makes another part of the leaf. Parentheses around. Parentheses. And we'll put it on little plasters. Going to be finished out up there in full. Then rinse out. So no, this should be all set up and dry. I'm gonna give you a little trick here. Of course, this can be painted on with some water and the black paint. Delicate hand, a little bit. Always kind of twirl it into the paint. But you can also use your permanent marker, and this is a great cheat for beginners because this is very precise little place in here, and it usually requires a very steady hand. So this is just a nice way to cheat with this permanent marker. So we're gonna go ahead and just do a little circle in here and color that in. And just keep in mind, you can only use the permanent marker on dry paint. If it's wet, it'll just ruin your permanent marker on that side. You want to keep your marker in good shape and let it last as long as possible. So just make sure you use it on dry paint and let it all set. I'm also going to redefine this little happy face here. Little stitching. See, it's so much easier to do this with the little Sharpie. Let's think I'm going to do them. Oh, and you know what? If this is, I think I like that one too. Okay, this is a lot easier to do with the Sharpie. And you can always touch it up with the paint when you're done, give it more painterly look. Especially in the beginning. Much easier. At this fine point. Good job. All right, now let's go ahead and start to work in some of that straw hair. So we're gonna push our plate back over here. So that yellow and so that cream we had from earlier. And then we're gonna start to just take our little bit brush and just kind of really place this into the shape. So you almost want to kind of act like you're combing someone's hair. Long strands that come across here. This is that white with that cream mixed up in and yellow and a little touch of brown. We need to make more So again, our brown is the orange and the black, mix up a little brown, take some white, mix in some yellow. Mhm. Just gonna lift off with the right hand when you're done. I've got a little bit more of this black so that I can add some more green. Put a bit of water to that, give it more lengthen its life. So you can start to work this in over the top and softly blend and the yellows and the oranges. Yeah. Two small white. Bring lightness up a little bit. Right, sticking a little bit. That's all. I'm gonna go ahead and do the platforms in the eyes too. Little trick with this, I'm gonna forget those. We use our white, we use the end of the brush here. I'm gonna dip right into that white paint. There it is. And I'm just gonna touch down and then I'll share the other side. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of this brown and I'm going to get this to the nose here. Orange over the top. Perfect. Like that. Now I've got a little bit of this orange. With that yellow, and we're gonna work in over our little sunflowers again. We've got a little more of that orange this time. Just in the center, just making tight little pulls out. Over here. Trying to get some nice layers. Another layer of that bright primary yellow. Lay that out on top again here. Some more. white, yellow. Very pretty. Use some more texturizing and then our sunflowers. So let's see here, let's grab a bit more of that brown, orange. Just same thing, just tapping a little circle all the way around. A dark brown. Like that. And we're gonna touch the excess water, we're gonna touch that yellow. And we're just gonna tap up a little donut shape here. Right in the center. And let's put a pretty blend on that. Again, a little bit of gray. A little bit of white in there. Let's get some more faces. The light drag over the top. And we'll work on some of that darker gray. Dark underneath here for a little bit of shadow. The water underneath here. I have to drag it, soften it a little bit. Same thing here, that black underneath for a little bit of shadow. A little bit of water, and then just kind of softly coming underneath this soft beige. Do a little bit more with the brown here. Got a little bit of water in the brush, a little bit of a twirl. Little light, super tiny light delicate hairs right over the top. A little bit of straw here. Hooked off with a really light can.
All right.
So I think we are done here with our beautiful scarecrow. I think if I see anything else, see a little bit of shadow here with the browns. I add a lot of water to that. Just kind of barely push that in up here. Those kinds of water kind of feel to it. Paintbrush, just going to put right up next to it. Softly fade. Good job. And now you can sign your masterpiece. Like right down here. I always like to use the Sharpie for this too. So cute. All right, so again, all the supplies for this are on our Tipsy Artist website, just tipsyartist.com. I'll leave the link below. Thank you so much for following us today. We appreciate if you would hit the like button and subscribe and share with a friend. So again, thank you so much. Y'all have a beautiful rest of the day and we'll see you soon.